So in this lesson, I'd like to introduce a phrase that the great Elvin often played. And in the original incarnation, it's very similar to what we had been doing. But the way he expands this kind of stuff is ingenious. So I'd like to share that with you. So here's the original phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he substitutes the hi-hat for some of the bass drum notes. And we haven't spoken about hi-hat independence at all, but it is a fairly common practice to have the possibility of conversational stuff between the snare drum and bass drum, and also between the snare drum and the hi-hat. Probably fewer instances with the hi-hat, and very rarely a double note with the hi-hat like we might play with the bass drum. But in this case, Elvin substitutes the last triplet partial of beat 1 in both measures. He substitutes the hi-hat for the bass drum. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we also have these tom-toms here, and they create the possibility of a wider range of melodic comping. And in this particular phrase, in the second measure, Elvin incorporates the two tom-toms. And it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a nice phrase. Maybe you noticed that I was changing the symbol in the second measure. So the symbol in the second measure is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that, not having the skip note on the fourth beat, allows him to get some height to put a little accent on the 1 of the phrase. I'll play just the second bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. This kind of thing. Now, actually, the whole phrase that he plays, it is expanded. He plays what I've just been playing twice, that's 4 bars, and then he slices out a little 3-beat hemiola out of the phrase. Let me play the whole thing, and then I'll separate the little 3-beat hemiola, and I'll play it a little faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. of that little 3-beat extension. One, two, three. The whole thing in combination at tempo di lerno. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would encourage you to find places in your playing where the hi-hat might substitute for the bass drum and where you might incorporate the tom-toms to create some melodic interest and some sort of momentum into the cymbal. You can incorporate the hi-hat and occasionally incorporate some tom-toms with a lot of the phrases that we looked at previously. Maybe some of them aren't going to be pleasing to you, but you will find some gems in there, and that will become part of your repertoire and your sound. So have fun with it. To recap, what we've done with these lessons is we've looked at comping phrases in 4-measure structures with the snare drum. Then the same kind of material on the bass drum. Then we took it a step further and created conversational phrases between the snare drum and bass drum. And don't forget about the thing I mentioned, that making things kind of riffy. I think of all the phrases that I've written as somehow little melodies. And having that concept makes you not play too busy. I mean, we could play much busier, but we want to have some balance in the sound and what we're doing. Then we took the same kind of idea within the triplet grid and played the triplets with the snare drum against the cymbal. Then triplet grid with the bass drum against the cymbal. Then we made combinations of those phrases. And the possibilities are endless within that. And don't forget that you can take any of the written material and start in a different measure, and the phrase will feel totally differently. Or play the first measure of the first line, the first measure of the second line, the first measure of the third line, the first measure of the fourth line, and create a unique phrase in that way. So these are just ideas that you can toy with. I think of them almost like Legos. You can put these two Legos together this way, you can put them together this way, you can put them together this way, this way. It's the same with this kind of material. Then finally, we introduced the possibility of substituting the hi-hat for some of the bass drum notes and use that Elvin Jones example for that. Then we got some tom-toms in the action within this sort of hemiola kind of idea. And all of these things are available to make your accompaniment more varied and richer, and to give you resources to support the different kinds of situations you will find yourself in. Take this information and run with it, but make sure you're accurate before you start running. We get confused that we think, oh, this is easy, let me try it a little too fast. And the process actually takes longer when you start it too fast. You will own something in a much shorter period of time if you do it really slowly, so that the brain understands what you're asking the hands and feet to do. And once that's clear, then you'll gain ownership of phrases and be able to accelerate them accurately in a shorter period of time. So have fun. I look forward to hearing what you do with this stuff. Thank you.